Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Ranger's Respite. I'm Philip. This is a whiskey library review, and despite being a Friday, we're looking at a bourbon because that's what we spun up on the wheel. Before, well, let me, I guess, introduce it. It's the Old Label Knob Creek Single Barrel 9-year-old 120 proof straight bourbon whiskey. And before I get my nose stuck into that, if you like the show, you want to see more of what I do, maybe expand what I do a little bit. I'm selling these pens on Etsy. They are turned from a piece of French oak barrel stave. The barrel held cognac for 45 years and then was used to finish a peated American Single Malt Whiskey in the Pacific Northwest. If you know, you know. And without further ado, let's go ahead and talk about the Knob Creek Single Barrel. Um, this, one of the reasons why I have had this for so long, um, and this is a funny story. I think I've had this bottle for almost 10 years. It does not move very quickly because it is legitimately a little bit hard to drink. Although it's been a few months since I've picked it up. On the nose, it is aggressive. It is bourbon turned up to 11. It's got the spice, the, like, corn dusty notes. It's got the caramel, butterscotch, peanut brittley notes. It's got a little bit of baking spice, and it has a strong and sharp edge of alcohol. And that is because it is 60% alcohol by volume. It is 9 years old. And you would think that that would sort of tamp it down a little bit. And maybe their ethos has changed because I've had a couple of single barrel offerings, samples from friends, and I've got a barrel select single barrel bourbon that's proofed a little bit higher than this, that is much more approachable. But this is sharp. It's aggressive. On the palate, it's drying. It's I might have to pick up a more recent bottle and do a side-by-side comparison because this stuff makes me sweat. It's like mouth drying. It's massive, like bittersweet corn dust, a little bit of peanut brittle, caramel, and baking spice on the palate. Really, really sharp and aggressive, which two factors play into that here. It is 9 years old, and more time in the barrel means that you're going to get more barrel influence. And it's also 60% alcohol by volume. So what you end up with is something that has these two factors that tend towards making a spiky, aggressive whiskey that are working together. That said, I think I appreciate it a little bit more now than the last time I poured myself some a few months ago. Because as much as this is a aggressive drying dram, it's got more depth than I recall. It's got a little bit of, like, milk chocolate note buried within it. It's got a little bit of a floral note sort of sitting in there somewhere. Genuinely, not as bad as I remember. Not that it was particularly bad, just really aggressive and assertive. And in a way that made it a little bit hard to drink, if that makes sense. The finish is really short, surprisingly. It really warms your core as it goes down. and it leaves you with a little bit of caramel and a little bit of, like, baking spice and maybe just a hint of dry roasted peanut, but that doesn't last very long. Yeah, I think I am going to have to get a more recent single barrel. Not like a private select barrel, but like, their standard single barrel to put against it. Now, before I get any farther, I would like to say that I actually really like their old labels. Like, I know that some people, didn't like them very much because, you've got the text in here that's kinda hard to read, because you've got, Knob Creek in big, bold print, and it overlaps with the handcrafted in limited quantity for superior taste and smoothness. And then you've also got the sort of, newsprint-y sort of text, um, way in the background on that front label. But I actually genuinely kinda like this label. It was unique, it stood out a lot more, and the more recent Knob Creek labels, well, and of course, I've stuck the one that I just had back in the bag, didn't I? Yeah. I should have thought about this because I knew I was gonna talk about, the old label versus the new label. Of course, what I have to hand is a single barrel select rye. Uh, but, like, this label, as excellent as it is, and as much as it stands out in a good way, it doesn't stand out as much from, like, other things on the shelf as this slightly more old school label. And it is sort of a nod to, like, a refinement and an understanding that you know, the Jim Beam small batch selection, um, line, the Knob Creek Bakers and the like, Basil Hayden's are all being sort of pushed as a more upmarket, um, more, I don't wanna say along the lines of, like, um where they were marketing Bookers before, but definitely it feels like there's more of a lean towards, "Oh, this is a luxury spirit," as opposed to just, a slightly more upmarket spirit, if that makes sense. And I feel like a return to the slightly more humble look would do a lot of people, a lot of brands, a little bit good because, I feel like, not to refer to this as a rusticated label, a rustic label, but it's it's got more depth of texture, it's got, bright white text that reaches out and grabs you, and in comparison to sort of the, like, I mean, it's not sudden, it's been happening for a few years, but the, like, lean towards refinement in bourbon labels and, like, lean towards, being, considered both outwardly and inwardly to be, luxury and premium spirits, for, whiskey brands, I think that, it's missing some of the old charm. Pardon me for just a moment, I got a cough. I apologize, I've got a cold that's really been kicking me in the behind. Now, now that I've digressed and talked about why I like that label so much, um, let's go ahead and, ask and answer 3 quick questions. The first one being, do I like it? I mean, look, I like the standard Knob Creek small batch, I really do. And this, as I'm drinking it, is growing on me. Who knows if that's the 60% alcohol by volume talking, or if it's just more or less aggressive and mean than I recall. But, it's alright. The second question, uh, do I think it's a good value? Yeah, I mean, end of the day, Knob Creek prices have gone up since I bought this bottle. Um, I've I think that they're a little bit high. I don't think that it's really worth the money, if that makes sense, especially since, like, you're looking at a, 55, $60 bottle, and every year, the dollar gets weaker, the bottles get more expensive, and there are certainly better things for the money. And the third and final question, do I recommend it? I mean, not really, no. It's it's the beam profile or it's the Knob Creek beam profile turned up quite a bit. It is it is quintessentially bourbon, and it is also very aggressive. Even with it having, me talking about how it's toned down considerably since, the last time I poured some and how I think that it's not nearly as aggressive as I remember, it is still quite aggressive. It is still very drying and acerbic and, like, grips you b grips you by the taste buds and shakes you. Um, and sometimes that's good, but in this case, it's just really harsh alcohol and oak tannins, and if those sound like your kinds of notes, then that's good for you, but you gotta know what you're going into. But, yeah, that's about where I'm feeling on it. Now, before I forget, really quick, again, if you wanna support the show, maybe, help me fund buying a new Knob Creek single barrel bottle. I am selling pens turned from French oak cognac cask, held cognac for 45 years, and then was used to finish a peated American single malt whiskey in the Pacific Northwest. If you know, you know. I also have a TeePublic store. There will be a link in the description down below. You can buy shirts, hats, stickers, etc. Um, I kind of like the designs. It's all stuff that I've designed. I've got more stuff on the way for the TeePublic shop, but they're going to be different and relating to things that I've got coming down the pike. So, with all that out of the way, let's see what we are reviewing on Wednesday. What we are doing on Wednesday. So, let me just click hide choice so we don't accidentally roll that again. Let me just spin the wheel. And again, I've completely redone the wheel, filled it back up, unchecked the boxes for things that I've reviewed. And here we go. Another single barrel bourbon. This one is okay. Benchmark falls into the category of I think something that doesn't get nearly as much love as it likes, and I will talk about that on Wednesday. In the meantime, it's been good talking to you. Thank you for hanging around. And until next time, it has been a pleasure to talk to you or talk at you, really. Until next time, stay happy, stay geeks. Sláinte.